and he was here in 1922. I thought maybe we'd start off and I'd ask you, what are your earliest recollections of Humbercrest?
Well, I started here when my mother asked going up the street to bring me to school because she wasn't able to come. And I don't ever remember any mother bringing children to school in those days. We all had to make our way on our own. The school had 8 rooms, 4 at the front and 4 at the back. And I remember the class I was in, it was the one to the west and facing north here. And there were no desks, there were chairs, tables and chairs. And they took those out if they wanted to have a meeting or put on a skit or a play. And they had a portable platform. There was no auditorium in those days. And I remember our principal, the H.A. Griffin, he was a wonderful man. I think he probably had some military experience because we all had to line up, the girls on their side, the boys on their side, each class. And he stood at the front and he insisted that everybody face the front, no talking, no movement whatsoever, and then we were marched in. And they had a gramophone which played Colonel Bogey marches. That's how we were marched into our school.
Can I ask you, Lord, how strict were the teachers back then?
Well, they were pretty strict, and they all had a strap on their desk.
Okay, the kids don't know what that is. What was the strap? Pay attention, kids. You live in better times.
About that long and about that wide, and the teacher would. Now, this wasn't used very often. It was used very sparingly, but it was used. And I don't think any of the teachers enjoyed giving the strap, but there were times when it was necessary.
Did you ever get the strap?
No, I didn't.
I'm glad to hear that. You were a stellar student, were you?
I was too scared.
What about the area around Humbercrest? What was it like here back then?
Well, it was still being developed. There were lots of fields and empty spaces right from Jane Street over to Humbercrest. We called them fields, and we enjoyed them because there were places where we could play baseball and other games. And Homesmith was selling off his property at Valley Point with a strict instructions that no 2 houses were to be built alike in Valley Point. They all had to be different. And development was rather slow in those days. It wasn't like it was today.
And those fields that you talk about, you played in those fields, right?
Absolutely, yes. Some chaps were at the golf course and they'd get a golf club and they'd even knock a golf ball around in those fields. That's how big they were.
And what about the teachers at Humbercrest? What were they like?
They were A1. Absolutely. They were and they always have been, and they still are.
I understand, though, that there was one very special teacher. I think you might have even had a bit of a crush on her.
Miss Flummerfeld, yes. How many remember Miss Flummerfeld? Didn't she have cute little dimples in her?
There was also, I understand, one experience. It was a memorable one, and it was a big day for Humbercrest, and Miss Flummerfeld introduced you to something new at the school. What was it?
Well, the first extension was put on this side, to the Brook side. That's when they had the first gymnasium, and that's when they had the first indoor toilets. Because when I started, they had outhouses, against the fence to the north.
Are you listening, kids? No indoor toilets.
I think they were three-holers. One for the girls, one for the boys.
Oh my God, I have to tell you something too. When I was talking to Norman on the phone, and he said, yeah, so we had these outhouses, and of course, the Eaton's catalog came in handy.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, Eaton's catalog?
That's where they were recycled.
Anyway, sorry, so what happened with Miss Plummerfeld?
Yes, we had the new indoor toilets, and Miss Plummerfeld took all the boys down into the new toilets and explained about the urinals and the cubicles, and that there was a metal container on the petition that contained the toilet paper, and we were only supposed to use 2 sheets of toilet paper.
Norman, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your experience at Humbercrest?
Let me see.
I know this is a very special time of year because you love the fall fair.
Oh yes, the fall fair. We always look forward to that. It took a lot of preparation. We had judges judged penmanship, and Mr. Griffin was a stickler for penmanship. If the teacher couldn't teach penmanship, he did. And he was a beautiful writer himself. What else?
No, that's fine. Thank you, Norman. Thank you for sharing those memories with us. Norman Baker. Norman, I have to say one thing. You know what? I see what's great about being 99. You just have to show up. I mean, you just say you're 99 and you're here. That's great.
I thought it was going to be a big day, but not this big.